So we did an updated video on the sniper class not too long ago, and today we're going to do an updated video on the Vanguard, since this was the first class that I covered. Didn't really do it the way that I wanted to, and I didn't give this class kind of the love that it deserves, so we're going to right that wrong here today. So real quick, the Vanguard, just like the sniper, only has 2 bars of armor. Its special ability is a grapple launcher that will allow you to swing from one side of the battlefield to another in hopes of closing the gap and getting up close and personal, which is where this class loves to thrive. So in terms of primary weapons, you have 3 different options. You have the Instigator Bolt Carbine, which is essentially a 3-round burst. Stupid accurate, also does an insane amount of damage. Very, very good assault rifle. You also have access to the Oculus Bolt Carbine, which is somewhat similar to the Instigator. However, it is fully automatic. At first, this gun did suffer from some accuracy issues. However, after some buffs, it's been much more accurate, or it's been heavily accurized in that. It's almost kind of like a laser beam in that. Phenomenal assault rifle. Personally, between the two, I do prefer the Instigator Bolt Carbine. However, I think both of them do just fine. You're not going to have a bad experience with either of them. And then finally, you also have the Melta rifle, which probably needs no introduction. This functions as the essential shotgun for Space Marine 2. Today we are going to be doing the Instigator Bolt Carbine, though, since it is my favorite for this class. We are also running the Neo Volcolite pistol. The Vanguard does also have the option to run the standard bolt pistol as well. However, I've kind of come around to the Neo Volcolite, and I've been spending a lot more time using this particular sidearm, so I have swapped over to it. Nothing wrong, though, with the standard bolt pistol. It does the job of a backup weapon just fine. And then you do have 2 different melee options. You do have your standard combat knife, which is very good for one-on-one duels. However, it does suffer a little bit in the crowd control department. However, you do also have the chainsword, which, despite what it says over here, I kind of feel like is a perfect in-between melee weapon in that for that style of combat. In terms of perks over here, now there have been some changes to the perks with update 6.0. However, it really hasn't affected my class too much, so I'm just going to run you through the perks that I personally use. However, there are a lot of other perks that are worthwhile using for this class. This is just the setup that I personally really like to run. So for starters, I grab Melee Master, which it's a generic 10% damage increase against Majoris level enemies and higher. The Vanguard does really well at closing the gap, so you do get into melee combat quite often, so any little damage buff in that is greatly appreciated. Next, I like to grab Close Combat Focus, which will reduce range damage that I receive by 20%. Again, when you are up close and personal with a lot of enemies, it can be very easy to get targeted by some of the surrounding enemies like snipers, whether they be Tyrannid or Chaos, and it's typically an easy way in that to have damage pile up on you. So anything that we can do to mitigate some of that damage, I'm a big fan of. Especially too with the Vanguard, it is very easy to get separated from the group, so sometimes it might take your friends a little while in that before they're able to clean up some of the ranged attackers around you, and this is just a nice way to buy you some time. Next, I use Honed Reactions, which is whenever my health is less than 50%, the perfect dodge window is doubled. So, as I've said before, most of the time I am using fencing melee options. So, by using Honed Reactions here, that actually helps with the perfect dodge window as well. Just that way, if you are below 50% in that, hopefully it's enough to buy you some time that you can either recharge some of your health using one of the other perks that we'll be talking about shortly, or waiting for your armor, and that way, hopefully you're not losing too much of your standard health. In terms of team perks, Inner Fire is my go-to. This just allows the entire team to recharge their finishers by 15% as long as they're performing finishers on Majoris level enemies and higher. Now, one thing, and I am completely guilty of this myself. One thing that I do notice, though, a lot of Vanguard players do is a lot of times they like to jack a lot of the executable enemies on the battlefield. And again, I am completely guilty of this myself, but it is worth noting that there are a lot of other classes that do have much stronger abilities. The grapple hook isn't bad, but the Auspex scan, Iron Halo, Bulwark's Banner, a lot of those other specials are definitely a lot better than just kind of moving from one point of the battlefield to another. So don't be afraid to share. Again, I need to take some of my own medicine, and I need to do better at sharing, because a lot of times it is easy as the Vanguard to want to just slaughter everything in sight. In terms of gear, I run Shockwave just for whenever I am using the grapple launcher. All this does is that the diving kick deals an additional damage in a 5-meter radius. So just if you're zip lining from one area to the other like Spider-Man, you're going to be able to hit some of the enemies on the way there, do a little bit of damage. Maybe not necessarily kill them, but it's enough to throw them off, or at least make them easy cleanup kills for the rest of the team. Then we also have Tenacity, which is after killing 10 enemies in rapid succession, the diving kick's damage increases by 40% for 15 seconds. Now, whether it's using the Melta Rifle or some of the other weapons, it's very easy to clean up some of the smaller Minoris enemies and then maybe go into combat with the Majoris. And just by powering up that diving kick a little bit, you can have some decent damage on them before you even really start your attack, whether that be with melee or ranged options. Finally, Thrill of the Fight, not flight. But after a perfectly timed parry, dodge, or block, you do receive 20% less health damage for 5 seconds. Anything that just allows you to keep your health, especially on some of those higher difficulties, is definitely an awesome thing to run. And speaking of health, the Vanguard is unique in that it is the only class that can naturally heal itself, and that's with the use of Adrenaline Rush. So, as I mentioned, some of the perks have been changed around since the previous update. This is one of those perks. It used to be that it restored your health by 10% every time you killed a Majoris level enemy or higher. That has been nerfed to 5%. That being said, though, it's still probably the best signature perk for this class, at least. Tactical Prowess isn't too bad. Same thing with Emperor's Blessing. Actually, I think if I wasn't running Adrenaline Rush, I probably would grab Emperor's Blessing, just because it reminds me a little bit of one of the Sniper's signature perks, where if you would take damage that would kill you, you instead kind of get a brief little do-over right there, and that where instead of dying, you'll have some sort of buff that occurs. So that Emperor's Blessing is worth checking out. However, as you progress through the difficulties, health packs are less abundant, so having a natural way to heal yourself is pretty good. Also, at the same time, this will pair nice with Inner Fire, in that whenever you are doing an execution on a Majoris or higher, not only are you restoring some of your health, but you're also restoring your ability as well. Again, I do kind of feel, though, that these two perks kind of play off of each other, in a sense that if you're not kind of checking in with the rest of the team, it might be very easy to want to kill every single Majoris on the field that you can get your hands on, but sharing is caring, so sometimes don't be afraid to let your team step in. So that's really it for the class breakdown. I will be honest, this is still probably my personal least favorite class to play. I don't think it's a bad class whatsoever. I know a lot of people really enjoy it, and I've seen a lot of people do really, really well with it on some of the higher difficulties. That being said, I personally just have more fun with all of the other classes. This isn't a bad one, but that's pretty much it for the breakdown. So from here, we are going to jump into some gameplay. So if you were just kind of looking for a class build, I want to thank you for watching. And if you were kind of interested in seeing what this class can do, feel free to stick around, because that's what we're going to do. We're also going to be jumping into Reliquary here, since this seems to be a mission that a lot of people have issues with. there will be limited commentary from me from here on out, unless it's something that's worth calling out. But as always, thank you for watching.
Entry point identified.
So I will say, one of the benefits to this class is, as you can see right there, especially with some of the Enlightened, is you can grapple onto them as well, which the Enlightened are typically the enemies that I personally struggle with the most. I don't know what it is, but some of their attack patterns just don't seem to mesh pretty well with my play style on that, and sometimes it's very easy for me to miss what should be an easy dodge or parry. But one of the benefits to this class is I can just get right up to them and a lot of times deal some pretty considerable damage. Plus, one of the nice things, and this is actually why I switched over to the melter rifle here, so hopefully you'll be able to see that. A lot of times you can just hit something with the grapple hook and then immediately go right into a shot of the melta. And like I said, we want to try and be a little bit more conscious of our teammates there. And here you can see 5%, it's not a whole lot of health, but it is health, and this is the only class that can naturally heal. And the nice thing is there is no cooldown timer on that, so as long as you're killing Majoris level enemies, you're going to be able to heal.
Double check if you have to. Heretical assault.
Perhaps we have missed the servitor. Just dead meat and servos here. For the Emperor! Do not miss it. Pride. That had better be all that is wrong with the console.
Acknowledged.
Here to serve. Follow, Minister. Faithful bones lie in perpetual grace, the slumber promised to all. Browsing catafalque. Charging skill. Redacted by order of the Holy Inquisition. Resuming search.
Equipment available.
I will be so happy when my ordeal to run over all the small little
Only
cultists
death
is
duty
complete.
end. Scanning casket.
Could tell you how many times But I've been trying to do that and
Exhumation and relocation
taking
may
just
commence
insane amounts of damage by ignoring everything else. Still doing that even on here, but at least we're powering through it. We got 2 solid teammates.
You heard the machine spirit. Back to the console, brothers.
For the Emperor! Magazine depleted. Paying respects. Respects paid. Exit catacombs now.
Airborne target on my Auspex. A Helldrake.
Weapons ready. Make for the bridge.
Let the Helldrake beat its chest. We will bury it.
Fire incinerator.
Well, that was kind of unfortunate.
Engaged.
Expect some heat.
Take cover!
Brace the battle fire.
Hostile flavor assault underway. Gauntlet running maneuvers complete. No sentient Iron Hail ready. For the Emperor!
Come on then, you maggot-bellied worm!
Utilize any available cover.
It ceased to immolate us! You will be spitting blood soon enough! It is going to attack! That was invigorating!
Provide insight.
Saint Lankai's chosen relics radiated pristine. Praise be to the Omnissiah. Interact with corresponding sigil to perform cleanse.
The Codex approves our tactics. Plan successful.
Understood. Brothers, it is time to slay a Helldrake.
Stockpile parts. For the Emperor!
That Helldrake's skin is as durable as Wraithbone. With Saint Lankai's grace, we will flay its cursed heart.
A hell against we Astartes. This shall become chapter law. Eldrick, let us end this pathetic wreck. Come on, show us some of that power. Check the stained glass. Move to attack. Shoot it now!
Alrighty, so as you can see there, Vanguard, it is a pretty reliable class. Like I said, for me personally, it's probably my least favorite. However, that does not mean that it's not good. I just think that some of the other classes kind of have a better bit of a playing style. To me, it kind of reminds me of a more aggressive version of the tactical, just because you do have a wide range of options, whether it be damaging enemies from afar or up close. You do have a lot of different options for your workspace. But overall, though, it is still a fun class, even if it's my least favorite. That's like saying that, you know, it's my least favorite. Yeah, I don't know. It's my least favorite episode, my favorite TV show. You know, it's probably one that I'd still watch over most other shows. However, out of all my other favorite ones, it might be my least favorite in that category. So it is a good class. Definitely super fun to get up close and just kind of melt people. Other than that one little moment where we got into some very bad positioning there with the Rubric Marines, we had a pretty good run. You know, that was just kind of stupid luck. I did not expect that there would be another one going into its heavy flame attack right behind it, and unfortunately we kind of got caught up in both of them. But whatever, we still ran through that whole mission. We did lose the Gene Seed though, unfortunately, but we had a very solid run. But as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.